Hi you guys, I am back again. Today I am going to address the fear of failure. Yes. So, the fear of failure, I think, oftentimes derives from this idea we have of success. And success can be compartmentalized, it can be perceived as a monetary success, approval from either your parents or your peers. Success is defined by a society, and while that narrative is changing among your friends and just on social media, we still, in our capitalistic fuck-ass society, subscribe to this common ideology of success. And so from that comes the fear of failure. And I've lived with it for a long time. And really, I know I always say, who am I to give advice, general advice? I've said this in my last video, and then I hit myself with the, well, anybody's voice matters and yours does too. But in this particular subject, I really do doubt whether my voice matters, because I'm perpetually driven by fear. And it's a shameful thing, only because I wonder, without this constituent, would I still be as hardworking? Would I still be as persistent, as diligent as I am? And oftentimes in the process of nearing burnout with writing and editing and brainstorming concepts, I wonder, does it all really matter? Like, if I'm just doing this out of fear and anxiety, what if the whole goal the whole time, or what if the goal the whole time was to just fucking relax on an island? That's my dream, but to take it easy. Now, I don't want to kill that drive by becoming extremely existential. As I've said before, I don't practice any philosophy in its extremity. I think moderation is the key to our individuality, and I guess one day I'll elaborate on that a little bit better. But point is that everybody has their own version of balance, and I have mine. However, I am in the process of eradicating that anxiety, and it's not that I have an additional fear that without the anxiety of succeeding or the anxiety of failing, would I still love what I do just as much? Would I do it just as much? And the answer is, fuck yes, I absolutely would. Because, the beauty of questioning your passions is, I don't know, this like reinforcement of them. I used to never question it. When I first decided that I want to pursue writing, I was 14, and then throughout high school I was so adamant on pursuing this career. It was part of my identity to just commit with so much faith and loyalty. And then mid-20s hit. And like most filmmakers, certain things don't change or progress. And I start wondering, well, if I had done so-and-so, or if I had, whatever, if I had done something different, would I be happy? No. I would not be fucking happy. I would feel as though I lost a lover to war, and now I am living a life that is somebody else's preference. And I would think about writing. And honestly, when there were certain interviews and stuff, or whatever programs that I applied to, and they asked, what is my relationship to writing, or how do I feel about it, or why do I love it? And in one of those answers, I remember saying that I've basically personified the field, because I don't think I have felt truly love at first sight with somebody rather than something being this field, this fucking craft. And so it is kind of a personified it's a thing in my life, where I am wholeheartedly committed to it, and it makes my heart sing, and it makes me feel like I exist, and I cannot live without the inclination. Oftentimes I screenwrite If not, then prose and poetry or novel writing, of course. And, yeah, so the fear of failure is contingent on the expectations people enforce. And it's not their fault. They've also been taught the same. They've seen the world in the same lens as you, because we live in, and not to conspire or anything, I just mean this in a very general sense, but we live in a controlled society, and, certain concepts have a unanimous definition, success being one of them. So whoever has warned me of pursuing a field that isn't canonical and it has no handrails and, certain, like, a specified route with guidance, I don't blame them. Now, on to the subject of eradicating that fear. Really, I mean, the most vague advice I could give that I find somewhat applicable, actually, I find it extremely applicable, it is to reflect. I love reflecting. I love it. Now, oh my god, this is so fucking corny, but if someone were to ask me what my favorite word is, now I think at this age it's integrity, but it used to be reflection, and that's such a corny thing to say. Like, I should say something better, like, I don't know, or something funnier, but, yeah, that, I would say so, and really that has done, that reflection itself has changed me for the better. And all it takes is, let me bring out my little journal. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All it takes is, that's my book. It's so pretty. All it takes is a little bit of journaling. This was, I think, 2 years ago when I really started to tackle certain weaknesses that I saw in myself. And not those types where it's like, not the alpha male type of approach on it, but like, so I don't mean like, oh, I'm not working hard, or I'm not persistent enough, and I'm not making this much money. No, it's rather, I think, well, there's a list right here. What are the things you love? I'm self-aware, and I'm funny, and I'm warm, and I'm a great writer, and I lift people up, and okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm trying to find the page where it mentions my weaknesses, but really some of them being, I am susceptible to the energy around me, and I let that dictate my energy. So if someone is passive-aggressive, upset, or kind of a meanie, that changes my mood, and I feel kind of small. Or that I sometimes don't believe in myself, or I don't feel as confident with who I am, or my literary skills, or my storytelling abilities. And then you kind of track the source of it. There's a lot of like, it's just homework, where I write down the weakness and then you address it and you say, this is how I feel, like a kid throwing a tantrum, and it's because of this and it's because of that, and then you source it and you say, okay, where is this exactly coming from? Who made you feel this way? Not necessarily the first time, but the time that kind of grounded this concept in your brain, and evaluate that source too, and its validity, like beauty being like this fucking bullshit construct, right? Like especially Eurocentric, I'm gonna cut this out, especially Eurocentric features being the like central idea of beauty. And while that is beautiful, there are different forms of beauty, of course, and I used to dog on myself for not being enough, even though I damn well am, just like anybody else. So, evaluating that and why certain people would comment on my skin color or certain features of me, or, or even just like my weight or my body shape and stuff like that, and then kind of understand like, oh, this is coming from constructs that are not necessarily unachievable. And it's not really that. It's more so it's that it's discriminative. There's history behind it, and that history doesn't determine whether I'm fucking pretty or not, That's an example. So same thing here. The peace and the happiness of my life is not determined by how much money I make. That is the fucking truth, And while I'd love to drive a McLaren and have a beautiful, beautiful mansion of marble, and it's 1 story, and I got a great view and all this crap, I'm still happy with the life that I have. And I still say, going to bed, that I love my life. Because it's true, I do. It is only one life, and I am lucky to have all that I do. And when I am grateful, or when I advise, or honestly, I don't really advise anyone when they're going through it to be grateful, because their problems fucking matter, just like mine. And it's good to focus on them and feel your feelings. I think the idea of being grateful is not abating those emotions that you're feeling, those negative emotions that you're feeling, but counting what you do have, and especially in a place of comparison, you know? So anyway, I wonder if I'm going off track here, but I'm on my own journey of fixing that problem, that fear. And I have certain goals that I've put in my head that I want to achieve at a certain point in my life. And if I don't, then what? You know, like I loom this consequence over my head. Like, I'm gonna stop loving myself. I'm gonna be embarrassed. Why am I? This is tracking the source. Why am I going to be embarrassed? Why? Because other people will judge me. Well, what have they done? What have they done that I perceive them as better than me? You know? What does that matter? Everybody has their struggles and faults and failures and weaknesses. We are human, you know? None of us are perfect, and to achieve the approval of someone, you know, that concept, that mindset is poison to you. So, yeah. I wish I had more answers on how to remedy it, but I think I'm discussing this to hopefully connect with, I'm sure whoever watches this has endured that fear, and hopefully they do connect with what I am saying. You know, you don't have to necessarily journal, but it's good to be insightful and nurturing with yourself. It really is. It does fucking wonders. But anyway, that is my short little video. So I hope you have a wonderful day, rest of your evening, week. Bye.